Alas, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, your time is spent. We had some fun times, but now it's over. Developer Capcom has dug you an early grave to make way for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the $40 follow-up that, for some, has come much too soon. Regardless of how you feel, the game is here, and it's the superior version, with new characters, stages, and rebalanced gameplay. Of course, it's also just as challenging as before, and can break your heart with a single combo. It's mean, it's flashy, but most importantly, it's Marvel, baby! Watch enough high-level matches in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and you'll see a few definite styles emerge. Players gravitated towards Wolverine, Wesker, She-Hulk, and others for their ability to relentlessly assault opponents and lock them down in close-range combat. The Rushdown game stole the spotlight, and now Ultimate wants to make it share. The game has dedicated almost half of its new roster to favor long-range or unorthodox playstyles in the hopes of cracking the original single, all-encompassing strategy. Joining the roster are 12 new fighters, many of whom personify this overall shift in focus. Some of the newcomers are still hard-hitting, straightforward brawlers, but consider Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, whose numerous projectiles range from homing disc to a fireball that can ricochet across the screen before striking its target. His long-range antics aren't new to the series, but were rarely utilized in the original during competitive play. Of course, this change won't happen overnight. Players will naturally stick to what they know. However, as the game and the community grow, hopefully these new styles will take root. In the meantime, there are some other core design changes to explore. Team aerial combos, another rarely used feature in MVC3, have been granted some extra incentive. Depending on which direction you tag out your character, it will cause different effects to happen, such as granting you an additional super meter. X Factor, the game's comeback mechanic, has also been scaled back in power and normalized across the cast. It can even be activated in the air. The returning characters received a lot of love in this new release as well. Instead of bringing the strongest characters down, the rest of the cast has been brought up to match their strength. These changes manifested new moves for some characters and new properties to existing moves for others. For instance, Magneto has a new move that physically drags his opponent around the screen, while Shumagura's throw drains super meter, as well as health. Take a look at your old favorites and chances are you'll discover new tricks that weren't possible before. Luckily, you're not on your own to discover these changes. The game's mission mode, which teaches new players the basics and combos for the cast, has been updated to accommodate for all these changes. The 12 new characters have their own mission sets, while the veterans' missions have also been updated. Unfortunately, this mode still has issues in the way it presents information, so if you don't know your Grom from your ragtime shot, then you'll constantly have to pause the game and dive into the menus to see the move's input. Aside from the tweaks to mission mode, the gameplay offerings in Ultimate are nearly as limited as its predecessor. There's a new Galactus mode that lets you stomp through the single-player arcade mode as the game's final boss, but it gets old fast. The Shadow Mode DLC is altogether absent in Ultimate. Upcoming free DLC might fill this void, but for now, its loss is felt, and the game's variety suffers for it. One feature that fans were dying for in the original release that has made it into Ultimate is Spectator Mode during online play. No longer you can find watching two sets of life bars tick up and down while awaiting your turn. Now you can see all the action for yourself. Ultimate also brings with it the online performance updates the original received, leading to a more consistent connection rate. Sadly, online still lacks the replay support enjoyed by Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, which could have served as an excellent teaching tool. Ultimately, Ultimate is still a monster hiding under an attractive cloak of flashy combos and familiar characters. It may feel inviting at first, but sink a little deeper and you'll discover a game in which victory and defeat hinges on a fine wire. It's a high-risk, high-reward system that'll bury you in a brightly colored light show on the slightest misstep. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is unquestionably the superior version, and while its feature set still feels lacking compared against other available fighters, the series' unique blend of structured insanity remains strong.